John, if you can set us live, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 10th day of May, 2021. This is the scheduled municipal caucus. In effort to adhere to social distancing protocols and best practices imposed by the city and state authorities, the city of Jersey City has canceled all public meetings and closed non-essential services as of March 16, 2020 until further notice. As a result, this council caucus will be held virtually as a video conference. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my computer is showing 4 p.m. exactly. May I have a roll call for commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Here.
Councilperson Belay is not here yet. Councilperson Solomon. Not here yet. Councilperson Robinson is not here yet. Councilperson Lavaro. Not here yet. Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
Okay, we have 5 council members in attendance at 4 p.m. Any council member that comes in a little later, just please either text or just make a note of the time that you're in and just let me know, and I'll mark you present and state it for the record as well. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, May 7th, 2021 at 3:40 p.m. to the mayor, council, business administrator, corporation council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Okay. Council President, we're going to go right from the top, correct?
Sure.
Alrighty. Okay. First reading ordinances. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 21-031, an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the 6th Avenue Gateway Redevelopment Plan.
Okay, Tanya's here for that, I believe. Somebody from planning.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I have a little bit of a proposition for you. We intend to present all 4, and I see that all 4 are at the agenda, but we would like to do them in a little bit of a different order, if that is permissible.
Okay. That's fine.
So, Tanya, which one would you like to start with, and I'll read it into the record?
The Jersey Ave Light Rail Redevelopment Plan.
Okay, so we're going to start with item 3.5, City Ordinance 21-035 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the Jersey Avenue Light Rail Redevelopment Plan regarding overlay bonuses, affordable housing, and school development bonuses, and general update to standards and regulations. And just before we start, just for the record, we have Councilperson Solomon present and Councilperson Navarro present at 4:03.
Okay, excellent. So tonight, City. Oh, you ready? Let me know.
You're good, Tanya.
Okay, great. Okay, tonight, City Planning is going to be presenting 3 redevelopment plan amendments and 1 new redevelopment plan. Because of the collaborative work and advocacy done between the council and the mayor, last year we were able to adopt the city's first inclusionary zoning ordinance. You know, the history of Jersey City development regulations has really been one of giving high value and benefits to landowners or developers without really capturing any of that value of those benefits. The inclusionary zoning ordinance was a huge and important first step that you guys made. And tonight we're able to present to you 4 redevelopment plans that have the potential of creating 1,400 affordable units in total in wards B, D, E, and F. So with that, I really want the planners who work the hardest on each one of these plans to really kind of go through the plans with you, answer any questions that you have so that you're comfortable with it. So to start with the Jersey Ave Light Rail Plan, Matt Ward is going to be taking you through that.
Good evening, Council, and I do want to put a shout out to Liz Oper, who is here, and Mallory Clark Sokolov, who were also instrumental in getting these amendments before the community, the council people, most notably Councilman Solomon, and before you here tonight. So with that, I'm going to start to share my screen.
Just for the record, we have Councilperson Saleh present at 4:05 p.m. So we now have 8 council members in attendance at 4:05. Thanks, Matt.
Yep. So you should be looking at the fact sheet of Ordinance 21-035. So this is, we provide you with the purpose, and I just wanted to touch upon the attachments before I jump right into a presentation. That's also one of the attachments to this ordinance. So this, these amendments are an outcome of Resolution 19-589. I believe it was originally sponsored by Council President Waterman and Council at Large Lavaro. And so that resolution put into motion city planning and the planning board, and the subsequent ordinance was tabled and for further study, edits, reintroduction, and so that this ordinance is the result of those efforts. So with that, I'm gonna jump right into a summary presentation, which is attachment. Actually, let me jump over and go over these attachments just quickly. So number 1 is the amendment language itself, showing the strike through and highlights of all the changes that are proposed in the Jersey Avenue Light Rail Redevelopment Plan. Number 2 is the presentation, which I'll be giving here in a second. We provided the planning board resolution. It was a unanimous recommendation for approval for your reference. There's also, since there's so many attachments, there's also a table of contents here, kind of giving a little bit of a background on these. The rest of the ones that start with 4 are pieces that Councilman Solomon asked us to put together, and we're providing to the rest of the council. And 5A, B, and C are a series of attachments that speak to one element of these amendments, which we believe are in compliance with IZO, but they're doing less than the 20% on-site affordable housing, because they are doing the construction of a light rail station. And so we have Chris Otto and Connor, I forget his name all of a sudden, from the Otto Group, who are also here to answer questions regarding their financial analysis, letter and analysis. And there's also a memo that was drafted to the approving authority of the IZO and by Director Marion. So let me jump right over to the presentation. So this is, excuse me, this is a condensed version of what we kind of presented at our different community meetings. So let me just give you some introduction to the area. So this is the Jersey Avenue Light Rail Redevelopment Area. It's roughly 50 acres. It's an area between Marin and Jersey Avenue, north of the Holland Tunnel. So it's about a mile from the PATH station, 2/3 of a mile from the closest Hudson Bergen light rail station. We had 3 meetings starting in January of this year and going through March, basically 1 a month. And those meetings serve to introduce the community to the area, some of the existing conditions, some of the proposals that were already on the table that planning had received, and some of the preliminary considerations in that area. Meeting 2, we drafted some of the zoning based on those current proposals or areas that we thought were needing of attention, and we presented those on February 17th. And on meeting 3, the proposed amendments were tightened and proposed to the community, and we were trying to incorporate feedback that we received from conversations or emails from the community, as well as tighten up any sort of other issues that were brought to our attention and we were tasked with looking at. At the end of all of those presentations, which we created a website, started publishing information there. We try to continually reach out through and keep people engaged throughout this process. But we had a 7-day public comment period, which actually more often took the form of phone calls with different constituent groups upon their request. We also, at every community meeting, opened it up to the floor for Q&A at several different times through those different meetings. And again, we conducted several follow-up meetings. We also did some live polling throughout those presentations to kind of gain the opinions of those that were in attendance. So just a quick summary, we had 116 attendees at the first meeting, 67 attendees at the second, and 47 attendees at the third. We also, throughout these meetings, we got a bunch of Q&A through the Zoom functionality, and we try to answer those either live or the ones that we didn't have time to. We actually took those and we answered them, and we published those also to where we're holding and hosting information on the data portal. You know, we saw a decline in the amount of attendees, but we think we still had a really good engagement, and we were really happy with our numbers overall. So most of the people that attended heard about the meetings through a friend or a neighborhood association or the housing authority. And most people that attended the meetings were in the neighborhood or just adjacent to, as these poll results that people answered gave us. So we also asked some other more general questions to kind of drive what priorities should be given or where our attention should be given for these amendments. Or just to kind of get an idea of what things that need to be worked into a larger conversation about the area. So what are the greatest concerns as the neighborhood grows? I think we asked for 2 different priorities from folks so they could give 2 answers to these questions. And so we got it came up with overall affordability and traffic being the biggest concerns, this being sandwiched between Hoboken and the Holland Tunnel. I think we heard a lot of traffic concerns, and affordability being the other, which we believe the outcome of these amendments addresses quite significantly. Community benefits, top priorities. So those ended up being what we actually were anticipating. So they added light rail station being one of the benefits, and then the creation of affordable housing. So I think that harkens back to what originally spurred a relook at this redevelopment plan area, which was a proposal to look at affordable housing. So we also asked, would you support a bulk bonus for a new school? People said yes, and even people without children said responded most likely in the yes. What kind of programming would you like to see at 16th Street Park? So if you're not familiar with 16th Street Park now, it's at the corner of Erie and 16th Street, across the street from the Holland Gardens housing complex. And it is an asphalt park with some different recreational courts painted. So people were looking to green it up a little bit, but also to keep that active. And so we overwhelmingly got an answer that people wanted to include passive recreation, which I think was more in the form of greenery and sitting areas for sitting and resting, and but still maintain active. So by and large, people asked for a healthier mix. So now we're moving into kind of the background that we gave the community in re-looking at these amendments and studying these amendments and coming forth with them. So we looked at the master plan. These master plans we believe that they achieve the stated objectives of the Jersey City Master Plan, the one dating back from the 2000s and even more recent ones that were amendments to it in 2015. So a lot of the zoning that we're proposing here is in keeping with that. I'll move to the next slide, which gives some more information. So we highlighted in orange some of the objectives of the master plan, which we believe these amendments are in keeping with. So making walking and biking an easy, safe, desirable, and convenient mode of transit. Skipping down, encourage the adaptive reuse of existing structures. Skipping more down, I just won't go over all of them. Creation of major new employment, housing, educational, recreational, commercial, and retail opportunities for residents of Jersey City. So we think that there's many goals and objectives these amendments meet in the master plan. These amendments also trigger the IZO, which was first, which Tanya talked about. And I won't go over this slide. Really, this is a slide that we gave to the community. At almost every instance in this, and I'll go into them in a second, the zoning that's being proposed here is achieving 20% on site, first and foremost, in keeping with the IZO. So moving on to the main moving pieces in these amendments. And those are, so we updated an existing bonus, which is now named Bonus A, which was an open space contribution or residential density bonus. We're incorporating or proposing Bonus B, which is an affordable housing bonus. Bonus C is a school development bonus, which was more of an outcome of what we were hearing from the community and both the community in the area and the larger community for more schools, especially in an area that might be geographically isolated as far as and from other areas in downtown due to the Holland Tunnel. Light rail station overlay bonus. So that's the one that I'll touch upon that doesn't stated. Stated regulations say that it's not doing 20%, it's doing 10% on-site affordable housing, but it's also resulting in the creation of a light rail station, and it has to effectuate that zoning. St. Lucy's we listed in this. These amendments don't change the existing overlay bonus for that site. That site, if you need an update, has been approved. I don't believe the construction started there, but these amendments don't alter anything there. Holland Gardens overlay bonus. This relates to the Jersey City Housing Authority site. I'll get into that in a second. And the last item to touch upon is the neighborhood district overlay. So this is an existing bonus, Bonus A, the open space contribution. Right now, I'm going to just direct your eyes down. I guess it should be probably labeled number 3, bullet number 3, but it's bullet number 1 there, third one down. Contribution goes to open space improvements in the area. The current bonus is $5,500 per unit, which is an incredibly low number. So they essentially an applicant could purchase 1 unit per $5,500 up to an additional 30 units per acre. And what the amendments that are before you are doing, it aligns it with the inclusionary zoning map, the payment in lieu of creating affordable housing map on the right there, which is per the IZO to be updated annually by resolution. And right now, so that number is dynamic. The contribution amount would be dynamic if these amendments go through. And right now, that contribution amount per unit would be $75,000. So we think it's bringing it up to speed as far as getting closer to the real cost of a unit construction wise. So much improved as far as raising funds and possibly improving open space in the area or creating open space in the area. Bonus B, affordable housing. So we spent a lot of time on. We think that this is a bonus that a lot of property owners will elect to use. And what it does is that it results in a density by bulk or by building envelope. 20% of those units are required to be affordable. And what the permitted height does is that it increases from the base. So for lots that are on the smaller side, it increases, I think, from 75 feet or 7 stories to 12 stories. And for lots over 15,000 square feet, it increases from, again, that's 75 or 7 stories to 14 stories. And then we also just included some bulk regulations in there as well. I'll just mention that right now there isn't a requirement for retail, but as part of this bonus, we're requiring that 10% of the ground floor be commercial. And then we are also revising the parking standards to be a maximum standard. And we believe the reasons for those are, one, because it's we're trying to create a more transit-rich area with the light rail station creation, or building out of the light rail station. But also because it will allow us to not over require parking, allow for developers to pick the right balance for them. But also what that does is allows more opportunity for more affordable units. Bonus C, the school development bonus, it mirrors a lot of what happens in the affordable housing bonus, but it layers in the requirement for the construction of a school. So to be more specific, a school must be a minimum of 23,000 square feet. This bonus does sunset, so at most they can build there can be 2 schools built in the area that's highlighted orange on the map, or a max of 60,000 square feet. And what it does here is it's just it's an slight addition to the affordable housing bonus. So instead of the 14, there's a 16 and 18 limit. We backed into the area in orange because of a state law called the Terrell-James Law, which requires that schools be sited outside or beyond 1,000 feet from a freeway on-ramp or off-ramp. So there is a small portion that we highlighted here just because we called out the different districts for eligibility here, and this is the majority of the high-rise district, and a small portion of that, or triangle, falls into that 1,000 feet. There does seem to be a waiver provision in that state law, but we think the likelihood of that is minimal at this point. So that's how that boundary was backed into. And we know that this height is not necessarily, it doesn't really match some of other proposals we've seen to zoning that include the incorporation or build out of a school. So what we're doing there in the language is we're relying on the IZO, and think that if there is a proposal that comes forward utilizing this bonus, that it most likely will require, or they will most likely see that it's not necessarily feasible, and we'll have to make an application to the approving authority. And at that time, they'll make a consideration of what those numbers are and the right balance of affordability is on those sites. Bonus D, the light rail overlay bonus. So I'm just going to first direct you away from the text on the left and to the maps on the right. So this is a site that really only is the best site for a straight long run of track without any interlockings where the track switches for the Hudson Bergen Light Rail Station. And so this would be in between the Second Street station in Hoboken and the end of the tracks at Hoboken Terminal. So this is a strange lot. This is the ownership, roughly. It's a through lot that extends from Jersey Avenue on your left to Grove Street on your right. We received a proposal from the owners of this site. They petitioned for consideration of amendments. The final form is somewhat of what they proposed, but there's a lot of other considerations that were built in through staff study or the outcome of some community feedback we received that was able to be incorporated. So on the bottom, these white rectangles are depicting what the regulations could result in. This may not be exactly what we see, but a lot of these regulations require this articulation, which was both an outcome of the design team of the property owner, some feedback from staff, and also to address some community concerns, we incorporated this or strengthened this language because there were concerns about noise, and articulating the facades in this way we believe will cut down on noise concerns. The zoning requires them to build a station. It also requires them within their property to build a plaza or open space of, I believe, 19,000 square feet. I could be off on that number. Oh, 18,000 square feet. And the max height here is 18 stories, up from the 110 of the high-rise district. And they are required to do 10% of the housing on site as affordable. The Holland Gardens overlay. This is the Jersey City Housing Authority site. Right now, it is one large site that consists of mostly 3- and 4-story buildings, I believe. 15th Street does not right now go through this site, but I'm just going to direct you to the map on the right. So the yellow shows that as part of this rezoning, they'll reestablish 15th Street, splitting the site or the larger housing complex into 2 sites, the larger being the one on the north, which will hold the majority of the housing that they're looking to replace. So they'll do a 1-for-1 replacement of the existing units on that site now in that north parcel, which will be a mix of a 23-story building and an 18-story building. And then on the south parcel, they are looking to do another residential building with their hope is to do affordable home ownership. They will be incorporating, I believe they are looking to incorporate a library here, which will also serve as I believe the residential or administrative office for the housing authority residents. And so this project has a lot of moving parts, but I think this is a pretty good summary of what we anticipate to see just on a summary basis. Oh, we had another slide here. So it does. So right now the housing authority is going to look at the number of bedrooms they have. So they're going to do one-for-one replacement of the number of bedrooms that they have. So if there's a mismatch, say they have a 4-bedroom unit and they have a family of 3, they're looking at as an opportunity to create a 3-bedroom unit, because they're looking to get most people that live there now back into those units upon completion. And so they'll take that 4-bedroom unit where there's a 3-person household living, and they'll create a 3-bedroom unit and a 1-person or a 1-bedroom unit. So they're looking for that flexibility, but they're looking to go no lower than the units or number of bedrooms that they have, and are looking at the existing populations that they have in those units and trying to match that as best as possible in the building that they're looking to construct. There was also some concern about parking at this site from the existing residences. So there is a minimum parking standard here. We went over this number with the group that reached out to city staff, and they seem satisfied with the number that we've provided. And we addressed some other concerns that we hope are being carried out that are separate and aside from these amendments. And lastly, there was 2 sites that are hatched here in diagonal black lines that are lots that front both on 14th Street and 15th Street. And in the case on the one on the left is even split zoned between the commercial strip district, which is outlined in purple, and the neighborhood district zone, which is outlined in blue. And what we wanted to call out and make clear is that we're looking for this transition. So by map and by language, we're proposing this transition from commercial to neighborhood or residential. So we're allowing for on these larger lots that have frontages on both of those streets to provide residential, but set back from 14th Street. And so that's the end of the presentation.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm going to stop sharing because I can't see.
Matt,
There.
thank you for the presentation. This is Councilman Lavarro. Do you have, you mentioned that, well, Tanya mentioned at the beginning, between the 4 plans, there was 1,400 potential affordable housing units between the 4 different plans being presented today. For this particular plan, do you have a calculation of the potential affordable housing units?
Yeah, so for this is the largest amendment of the ones that are before you tonight. We did an estimate. It's actually made part of this ordinance. It's attachment 4C, and in there we staff did an estimate of the number of units. We believe that 1,300 income restricted units will result from this amendment.
And those 1,300 units are governed by the guidelines in Chapter 188. Is that
correct? And I think with the exception of the ones that will fall under the purview of the housing authority. Let me just double check that number. Yes, yeah, except for like 250 units will fall under the Jersey City Housing Authority's purview. So those obviously under different laws.
How many units take that?
how many units are contemplated in the entire plan, both market and affordable and all units?
Sure. So so the gross we think that is going to be about 7,000 units. Yeah.
And do you have pre this amendment how many units were contemplated?
Sure.
In totality?
Yeah. 2,500 units.
Do you have an accounting of how many were affordable among those 2,500?
Zero.
Zero.
With the exception of the replacement units still existed, or in other words, the Holland Gardens units still existed. So that's saying that same 250.
As well as the St. Lucy's overlay, right?
Yeah, or was it closer to 192? Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, 192, I'm sorry.
St. Lucy's overlay had some units.
Yeah, right, so there's about, I think, those are approved. So yeah, we would probably, that's a good point, Councilman. So I think there's 14 units in the market rate building there, and there's about 160 beds for people in need of homes, and there was I think there was also some special housing units there as well. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I believe Liz Oper, who prepared this, looked at those numbers. I would just have to match them with the map. R, see R, number R. So she's counting 20 units. I think she's just in the homeless shelter building. There is more permanent or temporary housing, which we counted as 20 units. We didn't represent the 160 beds in this table.
Okay. So the in these different bonus sections, A, B, C, light rail, and then St. Lucy's and Holland Gardens, they're all subject to the inclusionary zoning, I guess, with the exception of St. Lucy's. Is that an accurate statement to say?
Yes. So the Holland Gardens site, the IZO exempts housing authority sites, but they went over the zoning that's proposed is over and beyond. We think that they'll be in excess of 20% affordable housing or income restricted housing compared to the overall total of units.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So hypothetically, if this plan is approved and someone's building in bonus B, with the affordable housing bonus, it's aligned with the IZO. In theory and in practice, in practice, if somebody comes with an application with this approved, then do they apply and are ultimately required to do 20%, or there's still the options for, given kind of the way the IZO is currently constructed, that they would have do up to 20% or with a minimum of 5%? Is that with still the possibilities of potentially buying out for the additional 15%?
Yeah, so we let me pull up that paragraph. So it's enacting the IZO. So the way it reads, it's on the top. If you go to the ordinance, if you download that, it's on page 19 of 101, or it's on page 15 of attachment 1. If you look at the page numbers there. So it's let me just give you the citation. Of 101? 19 of 101. 19. So at the top of that page under there's a letter 4A. It says any development that occurs pursuant to bonus B is considered to trigger Chapter 187 of the Municipal Code, also known as the Inclusionary Zoning Ordinance, which shall result in the creation of affordable housing no less than 20% of the total units of a project. Alternatives to the 20% on-site affordable housing are permitted pursuant to the IZO and are subject to approval by the approving authority. So to answer your question, it is allowing the approving authority to make a determination to do less than 20%. So it's in effect pointing to Chapter 187 and saying that any project utilizing this bonus is triggering IZO.
Right. So there could be of the 20%, it could be reduced still down to 5% potentially.
Pending a determination by the approving authority.
So my first request, and just I will admit I'm still kind of working my way through this, but I'm glad thank you for pointing that section out. I guess my first request would be to amend that language to say that the alternatives to the 20% on-site affordable housing are permitted pursuant to the IZO and are subject to the approval by the approving authority, and then to put some language in there that reinforces the idea that 5% is still the minimum.
So to put in that the 5% is still the minimum. Okay. We just thought we think that that is in there. We just didn't want, like, it's almost like if you put like a sales tag on it, everyone wants that price. So I think that's why we left it out, to be honest. But we can put it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone else? Someone else? Okay.
Council President,
Okay.
sorry, this is Councilman Solomon. I
Okay.
just want to address one thing for the council, which is less just for city planning. And I think the city planning did a great job of presenting the changes and amendments. I just wanted to make sure I know folks from Holland Gardens are reaching out to a number of council people with some, I think, sort of questions and concerns, largely directed to the Housing Authority about the potential changes, and I think they're related to some stronger commitments around parking, around how the Housing Authority is going to pursue the choice of a potential redeveloper, and I guess current conditions on site. And I just think that's something everyone should be aware of. I'm not sure these are any things we can write into the plan. I have Director Brady Phillips. I'll do so again. I know other council people will, and I think just we'll be in conversation around those items and hopefully address those concerns. The director, council, community can all kind of get on the same page.
I agree with you, James. I sent the email to the director concerning the residents' concern with the parking, the unit information. They want clarity on that, and also another representative for the RFP process. So I did send that to her. So I'm just waiting to hear back, but I am aware of it.
Great, thank you.
And I just want to say, I think we mimicked that same language in the school development paragraph, Councilman Navarro. We'll make sure to scrub the proposed amendments and make sure that anywhere where that paragraph that I just read is at, we'll include that caveat that you called for.
Right.
Okay. Someone else?
If I may, just following up on the Holland Gardens issues, that the idea of one-to-one replacement, and there are other issues, and James touched on some of them there, I think, and certainly we'll follow up with the director at the Housing Authority, but also with planning. The one-to-one replacement or return, and strengthening that to contemplate the idea that once some sort of redevelopment occurs, that families that left may look differently when they return, right? So that the actual language of kind of their return has enough flexibility to ensure that those families return in whatever form that they are. So, for example, a child can leave and exit at the time of redevelopment at, say, 15, 16 or something like that, and then when it's built, they're an adult and they've kind of aged out of their family unit, so to speak, but in fact they're still in need of housing and affordable housing as a result. And so being able to come back inside of that scenario, and I don't know what that looks like specifically, whether it's coming back into the same household or if it's coming into a new unit as a studio or one bedroom for that adult child, or who's now a child who's an adult, and so forth. So that's one of the ideas there. But I want to go back to some of the other amendments that you talked about, if I may. Do you have a count on how many units are in each bonus area?
There is a map. It's 4D.
4D.
Attachment 4D. There's a map that we that goes along with the table on 4C, and it gives those. These are estimates. Keep in mind, and I think we included everything, but we also kind of backed into what we think is more susceptible to redevelopment versus other sites. So that I would say is the best document to look at to address that question that you were asking.
Take a look at that. Do I understand for bonus A correctly, which is the developer has the opportunity to construct open space, which would be the community benefit, plus they have to give an affordable housing trust fund contribution? Is that how?
Right. So Well, I think what we were looking at was just the affordable housing bonus. So this exercise was just looking at bonus B, and if all these projects were just using bonus B or the other bonus that is more site specific just to that site. So like the light rail bonus, the Holland Gardens bonus. So what we're seeing here is that on block
Okay.
or site B, there is a plaza that's required as part of the light rail overlay bonus. So it wasn't looking at, this was a difficult exercise to begin with, but if we guessed on what bonus may or may not be used, that would have made it exponentially harder. So we just looked at sites using bonus B. So it wasn't the one that leads to the creation or funding of open space.
But the one that requires leads to open space.
Yeah.
Does not include affordable housing, but it does include affordable housing trust fund, or no? I just want to get clarity on that for my own.
It puts money towards the affordable. It puts money to the open space trust fund.
Trust fund.
Open space trust fund. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is someone else? Because if not, we got to move to the next redevelopment plan. It's 2 more we got to go through.
I have several questions, Matt. Maybe I can talk to you offline on this.
Okay, Matt.
Can I touch on one particular one, Council President, just because it's a so bonus C and the overlay bonus, the light rail overlay, allow for additional stories beyond what bonus B does, right? So 4 more stories or more. I'm not sure exactly what the final number is there, but can you just explain the rationale for that as opposed to why more heightened density is contemplated though in those areas as opposed to bonus B?
Yeah, so what we see happening in other areas where schools are being incorporated into community benefits is that to underwrite those or to construct a project that incorporates a school, it needs to be its own discrete element in the development. So it needs to be standalone. So it's taking up space on that site where they otherwise would have the bulk above. So that's why there's additional height incorporated into that bonus and for the consideration of the council.
Okay. All right, Matt. Councilman Navarro will definitely reach out to you for answer the rest of his question, and any other council. If you have any concerns concerning this redevelopment plan, please reach out to Matt with your questions. Okay, Tanya, who's next?
Okay, so next we are going to be doing the Central Ave redevelopment plan.
So the Central Avenue redevelopment plan is item 3.2. City Ordinance 21-032 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting the Central Avenue Block 2901 redevelopment plan.
And to present that, we will have Lindsay Sigmund.
Okay.
All right, good evening, Council.
Hi, Lindsay.
All right, so I'm going to walk you through the Central Ave Block 2901 redevelopment plan. I'm going to share my screen, if that's all right.
Sure.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, let's go to full screen. All right, so this redevelopment plan area is, as you can tell, is located in Block 2901 up in the Heights. It's almost an entire block fronting Central Avenue, Griffith Street, and Cambridge. The area is 24 parcels, and it's about 2.6 acres of property, which is largely owned by the city. It's mainly a city-owned public parking lot. Plus, there are a few lots fronting Central Avenue that the city owns and currently leases out. The plan area is currently zoned NC, neighborhood commercial, with a few R1 lots on the corner of Griffith and Cambridge. So I just want to go through some background, how we got here today. So the Central Ave business community, mainly the Central Ave Special Improvement District, the SID, approached city planning about this site several years ago. They were advocating for better use of the existing public parking lot, and improvements to the site as a whole. Back in 2018, City Planning conducted a study of this site and completed a report which determined the area as a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment. After that, in partnership with the CID, we engaged the neighborhood and the business community. During the summer of 2019, we had 3 community workshops which focused on visioning and really were held to ensure that concerns from neighborhood stakeholders would be incorporated from the beginning as we drafted the plan language. So I really want to emphasize from the beginning that this is very much a community-driven plan. To share some of the main points of feedback we received over the course of our workshops, some of the goals emphasized by stakeholders included a plan that would create a mixed-use area with ground floor commercial uses along Central Avenue with residential uses throughout. The desire to enhance existing surface parking by creating multiple levels of structured parking to better manage the public parking and for future residential parking, and to support retail and employment in the corridor by increasing the potential customer base, and to provide new open space opportunities and enhance the pedestrian experience through the requirement of open space along Central Ave to act as a public plaza for future programming in partnership with the CID. Just to summarize, again, the outreach to draft the language, we had 3 in-person workshops the summer of 2019. The draft plan was sent around to the people who participated in those meetings the fall of 2019. And of course, COVID delayed a lot of things, so there was a bit of a lull there, but we did have another meeting held virtually July 2020, and then the plan was heard and approved unanimously by the planning board, who recommended its adoption by City Council. So this next slide is just summarizing existing conditions, kind of touched on that already, but just to visualize, the majority of the site is zoned NC, neighborhood commercial, with that small portion in the bottom corner on Griffith and Cambridge is zoned R1. The other map is showing ownership. All of the yellow parcels are owned by the city, just to show that the majority of the site is owned by the city. And that pattern of ownership will look familiar in the next map, which is all of the proposed zones in the redevelopment plan. So the zone 1 shown in blue, again, that's all the city-owned parcels. This was the area that was used to create some build-out scenarios that were presented to the community to see what's possible here in the confines of the site. Zone 2 reflects current zoning, which is NC, and Zone 3 reflects current uses, which includes 1 to 3 family homes on that corner. And then the hatched lots with the lines through them, that's the Zone 1 overlay, and that's to allow for future consolidation. And I'll get into that in just a moment when I go through the standards for each zone. And I can show this map again as well for context. But so Zone 1, as you saw, that was that large blue area. That is the largest zone. It's the bulk of the plan and really reflects the overall purpose of the redevelopment of this site. So the purpose is to continue the existing pattern of the Main Street type commercial buildings and ground floor retail uses throughout the corridor. Like I said, it's currently zoned NC, and there are mostly shops and other commercial uses along Central Ave with residential and other uses above. We wanted, and the community really wanted, to retain that character. So there's a maximum of 7 stories in Zone 1 with a minimum of a 10-foot step back above the 5th floor, any portion of the building that fronts Central Ave, again, to help retain that 5-story pattern on Central. For the parking requirements, there's currently a curb cut on Central Ave, which would no longer be permitted to improve pedestrian safety and traffic flow. For this plan, parking would be accessed either on Griffith or Cambridge. The big community benefit here that we're working with the community on is the plan requires a minimum of 400 public parking spaces on site. And again, this links back to the background on the whole creation of this plan, the desire of the community that were engaged in this process to increase the amount of public parking spaces on site. On top of that, in addition to the public parking spaces, there is a 0.2 space per bedroom requirement for the residential component. Any structured parking is required to be set back 60 feet from Central Ave. This is so structured parking is not the predominant feature on Central Ave. There is an affordable housing requirement, 20% on site. The IZO is the guiding language there and is cited in the plan. the language reads that the IZO is triggered for any development in Zone 1. And lastly, the open space requirements. Plan requires 10,000 square feet of open space, which is imagined as a public plaza. The language states that the programming of the space shall be done in collaboration with the CID, and that any future plaza will be dedicated to the late Councilman Yoon. For the Zone 1 overlay, again, those were those hatched lots. Applies to those few lots that are not owned by the city, but they could be acquired and consolidated into Zone 1. So any incorporation of lots in Zone 2 or 3 would only be accomplished through voluntary consolidation. Zone 2, these are the few properties along Central that the city doesn't own. Again, this is retaining the existing zoning, neighborhood commercial. And lastly, Zone 3, low-rise housing comprised of 1 to 3 family homes. So it's currently zoned R1, but we wrote the language so all uses and lots at the time of adoption of the plan would be permitted. So that about sums it up. Just wanted to show the map again. These are the 3 zones and the overlay, and be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone?
Yeah, Lindsay, I just have a question. You said the building can be 7 stories high?
Yes, with setbacks on Central Avenue.
What community people did you speak to that want 7 stories up on the heights, Lindsay?
So, yeah, so mainly like I said, we worked with the CID, so we used all of their outreach resources. We had some members from RNA at the meetings. So mainly the RNA, the CID, and business owners in the area took up the majority of people who attended the workshops.
The RNA is nowhere near Central Avenue, and most of the people in the community up in the heights do not want 7-story buildings. So, I know Michael Young is not here, but I don't think Michael Young would have gone along with that either. So I think you better reconsider and go back and speak to community people, not the SID and not the Riverview, because they're not anywhere near that area.
So definitely, height is definitely a sensitive topic for sure. And I will say that anything over 7 stories was definitely a non-starter with the people who attended the community. And I think the reason neighbors were flexible was to see that structured parking built out. To be able to have that number of public parking spaces, you need to have some additional bulk to make that possible. But no, I certainly hear you.
Yeah.
Someone
Sorry
else?
to interrupt. Is it me?
Go ahead.
Councilman Bojano, is your face completely shadowed out? Is anyone else saying that as well? I just want to make sure that
It's a little choppy, but
you look like a ghost, Councilman Bojano. That's why I just want.
I got a lot of them on here, and I'm sitting next to a window.
All right, I just want to give you a heads up.
We're going to try to get the screen back up so you can see everybody. Just give us 1 second.
Okay. But
Can I
go ahead.
ask how is it? I don't know if they in writing this that is the parking lot going to be a public parking lot or is this a private multi-level parking lot?
400 of the spaces are required to be public parking spaces with rates comparable to city rates is how the plan reads.
But is this I mean, is it contemplated with the idea that a private developer will develop it? So it's like this is essentially the city selling the property or leasing it under this sort of plan, or is it how is that contemplated?
So the structured parking would be built and managed by the developer, whoever develops the site. And then parking spaces would be available for use by the public.
So ultimately, the city would have to make a determination on whether it's going to sell or lease the property. Is that to a private developer for that purpose? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think all those type of details, something that'd be, worked out in an RDA.
Yeah. Can I ask to the administration and to the councilman, what are your thoughts on that? Are you looking to, in moving this forward, are you looking to sell or lease the property? What's your position on that kind of moving forward?
Is that question directed for me?
To the administration, to the BA, and to the and to anyone at planning. Actually, if you have thoughts on that, but also to the councilman at Ward D, councilman.
So I would just say that the RFP has to mimic the zoning, so nothing can stray from that. And the RFP process, from what I've always been in, I've always experienced, is that they will go out to just request for proposals, and what comes back can be all sorts of things on how to actually make the requirements work, whether that's a lease or a purchase, might be within the specifics of somebody's proposal. And then however JCRA selects based on the criteria that they need, they select the best person or the best, developer entity who can accomplish all of the goals that are required within the plan. I don't know if that answers or doesn't answer, but I assume all of that would be kind of filtered out through the actual proposal process.
My goal is for the parking to be controlled by us. So that's, they have to submit their parking plan as part of the RFP. So that's why we're going to wait and see what comes back. But my wish and my desire, which I expressed, was that the city maintain control of that parking, and that the rates are pegged by the city, or in consultation with the city, and that they are controlled by us ultimately.
I get it. My question is very specific. We don't have to belabor it. It's just control can be accomplished through either leasing or owning it, right? So we either run a parking lot and we maintain it and we lease it, or we sell it and then we just have an agreement to try to and through an agreement with redeveloper, whoever, we try to exert control over that redeveloper to tie their hands about how we want it to be public and so forth. But the question is whether it'll remain a public asset or not under the city, and so that's a question I think for the councilman as well as the administration to contemplate. I'm clear about it from my perspective, and I don't know if it can be written into the plan, but we maintain our public assets kind of moving forward. That's my feeling about that. But the second thing is just, do you have an estimate on the number of, actually, two things. First thing is going back to Councilman Boggiano's point about community input. Do you have any summary report similar to what Matt provided about those 3 community meetings that they held for the Jersey Avenue Light Rail, with the breakdown of participants? That was very detailed, and I appreciate that he provided that. And then the second thing is, do you have a number of do you have an estimate on the number of units should this plan be adopted in terms of residential units as well as inclusionary units potential?
Right. I don't have anything prepared at that level of detail. It was back in 2019 as we had those in-person workshops. So old-fashioned sign-in sheets. We had about 30 at each workshop. A lot of similar faces, which was great as, the plan evolved. And then our virtual workshop, I don't have the number offhand, but it was, I think we've had more participation when we switched to a virtual platform. It's a lot easier to sign on. We had about 40 to 50 sign on to the virtual meeting back in July. And again, mostly business owners and people who are involved with the SID were part of that call. And to your second point, so we did a couple build out scenarios to see what could possibly be built on this site, just the city-owned lots. And we estimated about 190 units, so that'd be about 40 affordable units with a 20% set aside. If it was just built out the city-owned lots, again, a couple more lots could be consolidated into that larger zone 1, so it could be higher than 190 market rate.
Okay. All right.
Could I get copies of the attendance sheets, as you said, in the old-fashioned kind of way that was done?
Yeah, I'll get that together.
Okay.
And I expect
Send them out, Lindsay.
You can send that to me too, Lindsay.
Absolutely.
Lindsay, just send it to, if you send it to Desiree, she'll make sure all the council get a copy.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay, Tanya, next. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately for you, the next 2 are me.
Okay, come on.
I'm going to go in the regular order, Tanya. You're going to go with 3-1 first?
Was that is that Jackson Hill or SIP Ave?
That's it.
Okay, yeah, totally fine. So,
okay. So I'm sorry, Tanya, I didn't mean to talk up. I just want to read the ordinance into the record. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 21-031, an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the SIP Avenue Gateway redevelopment plan. And just for the record, Councilperson Robinson is marked present at 4:49 p.m., so we have all 9 members in attendance. Go ahead, Tanya, I apologize.
So unlike the first two that you heard this evening, the next two are requests from actual developers. And so the SIP Ave Gateway was a request to basically allow for the build out of a existing commercial property. The way the zoning reads right now is that any property within residential B, which is between Emerson, Freeman, and Logan and SIP, would be able to use R1, R2, or R3, depending on the lot size that they had. All 3 of those zones have density standards. Now the R1 is an applied density of 35 units an acre. The request was for existing commercial property to be able to use those bulk standards, but to not be restricted to the density standards within the plan, within the land development ordinance, because the plan ties back to the actual zoning in the land development ordinance. And so both of these, well, I'll just talk about SIP, are basically just removing the density standard in order for the build out to be done as to what would be required by building code. We did not do a fiscal analysis or anything because the developer agreed to the inclusionary zoning reading and ordinance requirements. So what you have before you really just qualifies that any person who wants to use this bonus within residential District B would have to abide by the Chapter 187 inclusionary zoning ordinance. Yeah. This is very as the other two.
Any questions?
Developer who requested the amendment applied for?
I'm actually not 100% sure. I have to look. I believe that it was. I have to. Let me get back to you on that. I apologize.
I think it was Javik. I'm not really familiar with that group, but Javik for Jackson Hill.
No, not Jackson Hill. SIP Gateway, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Okay.
Well, you can get back to us with that, Tanya. Any more questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So just I'm not knowing who that applicant is, but have we checked to see if they've paid their payroll taxes, any outstanding violations, if they own other properties in the city, and anything else there with regard to that applicant?
I have not, but I can ask. This is, I believe it's a tax assessor, right, who's overseeing that. We can check on that. That's not a problem.
Sure.
As well as rent registrations if they own other properties. I don't know what their portfolio is here, and housing code compliance with any of their existing properties. Can you speak to the community outreach that was done on this particular plan?
So again, I was not the point planner on this. Tim Creel was. Unfortunately, he's out. But from what he had spoken to me was that the developer did meet with the community. I can get more information or follow up on that. I defer to the councilwoman if she wants us to do any more meetings, anything like that. I'm totally fine with.
I'm going to speak slowly because I'm in the office and I want to make sure that there's no feedback like the last time. So Sean, if you start to hear anything, just let me know. We'll make sure that the people around me have their volume turned down. Yeah, as it relates to the outreach, I had spoken to a couple residents, but I think that this might be better informed by some additional meetings. And I think that if there's no rush to do that, I'd prefer that this be tabled for now and then come back once that's done. Because I've not spoken directly with Tim on all of the components of this, and I'd like just a little bit more information.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so
Is that going to be
table until you have your meetings?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna, I'm requesting that.
Tanya, you don't mind, right? We're going to table this. Okay.
So we're gonna
All right.
actually, we're gonna withdraw it, Council
Okay,
President.
withdraw it. I always get it confused.
Okay, so that item 3.1 will be withdrawn. Okay, the last redevelopment plan is item 3.3, City Ordinance 21-033, an ordinance amendments to the Jackson Hill redevelopment boundary to include the Sacred Heart campus as part of the historic neighborhood mixed-use zone and incorporate inclusionary zoning requirements.
Okay.
And so the original plan, the MLK redevelopment plan, actually included this whole property, the whole campus within the study, and also determined that it all met the area in need of redevelopment. For whatever reason, the entire campus was not included. In fact, the line actually cuts off a lot, split zones a lot. And then obviously it's now the Jackson Hill redevelopment plan, and that was not corrected, which is actually really common in Jersey City for tax maps mistakes to be overseen and caught up in instances like this when somebody actually wants to go and do something on them. So we were approached by the developer, and I believe they had spoken obviously with the diocese in order to do something within the entire campus. And the first thing that we needed to do was to include it within the boundary under the zoning for the historic neighborhood mixed use zoning. If you're familiar with the site, this is the convent, the parking area, the actual church, and I believe the school. From what we've been told, the school and the church are not being touched. The school's not going away. I believe if there's any actual rehabilitation that's happening, it would probably be either within the convent or maybe within the church. But because they are in the historic neighborhood mixed use district, they have to be preserved, right? And they all have to be done under the historic standards. Any vertical additions can go no higher than the church. And so where we've been meeting with the Michelle Massey and the developer for a number of years now on this, actually. And we finally are able to get it to a point where we're bringing it before you guys. But what took us a little while is that we're now we're now bringing in the inclusionary zoning, which wasn't something that was first contemplated by the person who was requesting the zone change. And so we are here, they've agreed to that. And so we've incorporated the inclusionary zoning into any kind of development that happens within the Sacred Heart campus.
Any questions?
So the addition of inclusionary zoning or the insertion of that into the RDP, I mean, I had met with the developer or spoken to them, and it's my understanding that they were looking to build as of right, essentially, and develop and such that the IZO would not apply to them. Is that I mean, is there an applicability of the IZO or are there changes in height and density as a result, or is there how is the IZO being triggered, I guess, through this?
Any development that happens on this site will trigger the IZO within the Sacred Heart campus. It's not necessarily tied very explicitly to a density bonus. The density bonus or the density change or the upzoning happens within this amendment. So because some of the site is still within R1 zoning, just the change of the boundary changes the zone and gives those sites more zoning.
So as a result, they'll be subject to the inclusionary zoning requirements with the zoning that's currently in place that they have currently, and so they'll be subject with up to minimum 5% and up to 20% with the usual array of or with the options to potentially to find other alternatives outside of on-site affordable. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have an idea of the number of units potentially that
So it is something that we've been talking about internally, and it's just a little difficult. You know, normally we've been able to kind of estimate the number of units even when there's not a density standard, and give you guys some decent estimates on the number of affordable that we can bring here. But because we're looking at, you know, rehabilitating kind of unique spaces that aren't necessarily residential, it was a little bit difficult to get a number on. And I think there's some back and forth as to what they can actually do on the parking lot, because the language in the zoning really doesn't speak to new buildings. It speaks to vertical additions. So I'm not 100% sure that they can actually build anything on that parking lot. I haven't really seen anything that's proposing that. It's mainly just for the rehabilitation.
Okay.
I was going to ask that question. I'm sorry, Councilman. I was just going to ask that question because when I met with the developer, they didn't mention building on the parking lot. They just mentioned the church as a like community space and the rectory as like some units.
Right.
Did you hear anything different?
I did not, and I don't believe the zoning really permits new buildings for the historic neighborhood mixed use.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, Tanya. Oh, who's that? Thank you, Tanya. Somebody. Oh, thank you. We just moving. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Council President. She has one more.
Oh, okay.
Ordinance item 3.6, City Ordinance 21-036. It's an ordinance adopting amendments to the Land Development Ordinance regarding applications, checklists, notice, waste management, review procedure, and hearing requirements.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take this one. This was so this is really just a housekeeping item where we are proposing some changes by ordinance to 345-30 and 345-31 of the Land Development Ordinance to update it. A lot of this is to update it based on ordinances that were passed more recently, like in the last couple years, and also to kind of change with the times. The COVID digitized a lot of planning processes, and so we're incorporating those into our checklist for development applications. So basically, what needs to be provided us and how.
Okay. Any questions?
I mean, are there, what are the most significant changes to the LDO?
So the most significant change, I guess, is actually in the organization. So in under 345-31, the checklists, we had like a separate checklist for when you had a variance or when you had a subdivision or when you were doing development, whether it was minor or major. We're consolidating all that list into one. And then if it's not applicable, staff will assign it as such. But we're basically streamlining it, but also by streamlining it, we're bringing more consistency to the organization of it because you had to look in different places for different things. So it's really a pretty boring, but it excites me housekeeping item.
Say that. All right. Good enough.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Sean.
Okay. Last first reading ordinance item 3.4, City Ordinance 21-034. It's an ordinance accepting from Maple Street Row LLC a dedication of certain newly constructed rights of way that extend Maple Street and Garabrandt Street.
Okay. Who's here?
I believe we have either Paul or Andrew Vishio on.
Go ahead, Andrew.
This item is not from the traffic department.
Oh. Okay.
Paul Russo on?
I am here. I don't know if that was from us either. That may have been directly from law.
Is this from the law department? Peter?
Maybe we can bring up the,
The fact sheet says Paul Russo.
Paul, it says Paul, right?
Yeah.
It says you, Paul.
thank you, Ann.
You want to pull it away and then like come back to us after you?
Yeah, it actually has you down there, Paul.
You want to come back?
I think Paul's frozen. We'll have to come
Oh,
back.
okay. Hello?
We'll come back to it.
Okay, go ahead. Go start with the,
Second
Right.
readings.
Go ahead.
Okay.
go ahead.
So the second reading, item 4.1, City Ordinance 21-028, is an ordinance authorizing the City of Jersey City as a tenant to extend for 1 year a lease with 18 Ash Realty as landlord for space located at 46 State Street, Jersey City.
Go ahead.
Next, item 4.2, City Ordinance 21-029 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-9, stop intersections, designated 13th Street and Monmouth Street as an all-way stop control intersection.
Mhm.
And item 4.3, City Ordinance 21-030 is an ordinance establishing the Jersey City Arts and Cultural Trust Fund Committee and distribution of funds.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Just on the last item, I never really did get to circle up with the Jersey City Arts Council or Director Goodman. I'll do that after second reading and talk to them some more
Okay.
about this, just FYI.
All right.
Just have two speakers right now on the agenda, and then we have our petitions and communications, items 6.1 through 6.10, and officer communications, 7.1 through 7.4. We don't have any RODs. We have our claims on the meeting. And we're going to go right to the resolutions. Okay, item 10.1, Resolution 21-348 is a resolution authorizing the emergency temporary appropriation.
Thank you, Council. This is just a continuation of services. You'll see here 2 grants and other operating expenses. This is just to get us through as we continue to get together the introduced budget. We do have some good news today to deliver. The federal authorities have released their guidelines today on the American Rescue Plan. So based on that, we're going to take another look at all of our opportunities and present some of our options to council, and of course introduce the budget and get that moving.
And by present the budget, you're talking about the next council meeting?
Correct.
Okay. Just going back.
Hopefully.
John, going back to this temporary appropriation,
Sure.
I think there's a mistake because the from number is bigger than the to number.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. I'll correct that one. That looks like information technology.
John, at the end of this meeting, can you explain to us about this MUA tax, the water bill tax? Because I'm getting numerous complaints on it, and I'm trying to get an explanation.
I'll reach out to you, Councilman, for sure.
Yeah, please.
I'll call you right after this.
Can you put me on that call too, the three-way?
We
Why
can
don't you
FaceTime.
set up, you know what would be a good thing though to be
Me
perfectly
three.
honest? If you set up a meeting with the director over there from MUA,
Okay.
that would be the best thing.
Joyce,
You
it
know?
comes back to John.
Yeah, I know, but the MUA director needs to be at the table.
Well, I've been trying to get answers, and people are calling like
Yeah.
crazy. It's causing an uproar.
Right.
I would,
I agree.
Council President,
Mhm.
I think it was back in,
Correct. I remember, Rolando, we
Yeah.
asked for it. That's why I say he needs to, you know.
can we bring them into the next caucus and have them explain
know.
this publicly?
We can definitely get them. I'm trying to get them. It seemed like every time I get them, something happened, emergency happened. So he had to cancel, but we will definitely try to reach out to make sure he's here.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, they supposed to be attending the next Van Wars Parker meeting, because I'm like you, Councilman. We've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails in reference. So I think Joe Kuna and Joe, the other Joe over there, I'm sorry, just lost his name, are going to be at the next Van Wars Park meeting to explain that.
Right.
So if anybody want to join there,
Come on down, right? But I'll do what I will definitely reach out to see if he could be at the meeting. But if any of you guys have any community meetings before we have the next, council meeting, by all means, reach out to invite them. I would. And Rich, John will touch bases with you after tomorrow, because I know we need answers now, really, to be perfectly honest, instead of waiting for another 2 weeks. So go ahead, Sean, and please, John, reach out to Rich and Youssef, right? You need the answers too. We all need them, but go ahead.
So going back to the before we go on with the resolutions, the ordinance that we thought Paul was on there, I think that was a mistake for him being on the fact sheet. I
Okay.
believe this was done through the law department with Connell Foley, who represents, I guess, the owner of or the redevelopment, the Maple Street Row. I believe Chuck Harrington is the designated attorney. He just communicated with me through the live Q&A just to let us know. But if anybody does have questions, if you don't have Chuck's number or email address, you can just forward those questions to me and I'll make sure he gets it.
Yeah, but shouldn't Chuck be here to explain, because this is a Ward F and Chuck didn't reach out to me at all.
I think part of the challenge was it was the wrong person that was on the sponsor. And so other than that, I believe he would have been here if he'd known that. So it's just a mistake, but you definitely need to set up a meeting with you.
What we can do, I mean, if Chuck can hear us, Chuck, if I can give you the telephone number to call in, you could probably dial in and then we can get you put through the meeting if that's okay with the council president.
Sure. And we can move on until you get here.
Yep.
Can I just chime in on this for a minute, Council President? So this is a dedication of streets, and while it's fine that Mr. Harrington address us in this matter, we really, the fact that Paul Rousseau is not in the loop on that, and and that he's not aware of, he has to sign off on these things, right? To say that they meet our standards and that they're worthy of being public rights of way, or whether they're streets or roads or whatever the case might be. He's got to give us his engineering approvals on those kind of things, and if he's not, and if he's not prepared to do that, then we really shouldn't be taking Chuck and his client at his word for doing that. So,
Council, one thing we have done in the past, if we are trying to push the dedication ahead and expedite it, we have started that process, but then put a 60-day period in which all punch lists must be addressed. I don't know if that was the intention on this one, but we were not fully kept in the loop on this one. And like I said, we will work with Chuck and the administration on getting all the information on this and go from there.
Okay, let's move on.
I mean, my suggestion
You'll make sure the punch. Go ahead, Rolando.
My suggestion is that it be withdrawn, and that Paul, you just work it out with him and come back with the punch list or whatever that's needed to do that.
Absolutely.
Wherever that goes, it's fine.
No problem.
Councilman Robinson, this is your ward, right?
Yes, and I haven't spoken to Chuck, but I mean, dedications are something that's coming back to us, but I still haven't heard anything about it.
Okay, so you want to
I mean, I'll reach out to Chuck for, is this something that we need to rush through? I don't think we do. It's a dedication, so we can always table it or
withdraw this, right?
Yeah, withdraw it and bring it to the next meeting. I didn't hear anything from their office.
Okay,
I think
Sean,
when I hear dedication, I hear something good for the community, but at least we still need to know what's going on.
Right. Sean, just withdraw it to the next time, okay?
You'd rather me withdraw it and not try to get the attorney and put patch to. Okay.
Councilmen want to speak to him, and rightfully so.
Okay.
It is the board.
So items 3.1 and 3.4 are going to be withdrawn. Alrighty. On to our next resolution, which is item 10.2, Resolution 21-349, the resolution authorizing refunds due to overpayments for property tax accounts.
Council, this is one of our standard ones, just a overpayment reimbursement. They have an option to either get the cash back or forwarding credit, and they chose to receive their cash back in the amount of $1,961.
Okay. Next.
Okay, item 10.3, Resolution 21-350 is a resolution to cancel tax sale certificate number 2020-0678 sold in error and refund the purchase funds.
Yeah, Sean, these are all the same, so I don't know if we want to just go through 10.3.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, John. I'll read them into the record, so then we can just attack all of them in a row. 10.4, Resolution 21-351 is a resolution to cancel tax sale certificate 2020-1202 sold in error and refund the purchase funds. 10.5, resolution number 21-352 is a resolution to cancel tax sale certificate 2020-1203 sold in error and refund the purchase funds. And 10.6, resolution 21-353 is a resolution to cancel tax sale certificate 2007-1246 sold in error and to refund purchase funds.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
the
Sean.
same.
These are all the same. Usually what happens in between tax sale posting, the tax sale, we do get some last minute payments that these sales do get get put on the auction block, but once they come and make their quarterly payment and we review it and determine that the payment was satisfied prior to the actual auction day, we go ahead and cancel it and make sure that there's no delinquency on the account.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Item 10.7, Resolution 21-354 is a resolution authorizing the replacement of a lost third-party tax sale certificate.
Council, this is something we've seen before as well. Pretty standard operation business here. This one is for 2nd Elizabeth Street in Jersey City, and it's just an affidavit for a lost tax sale certificate.
Okay. Go ahead, next.
Item 10.8, Resolution 21-355 is a resolution authorizing the award of a competitively bid contract with Integra Realty Resources Northern New Jersey LLC to provide appraisal services in support of the Jersey City tax assessor and property valuation in defense of assessments on tax appeals.
Sean, maybe we can combine to discuss 10.8 and 10.9.
Sure.
Basically, they're all the same coverage.
Okay.
We'll do it. So 10.9, Resolution 21-356 is a resolution authorizing the award of a competitively bid contract with Associated Appraisal Group, Inc. to provide appraisal services in support of the Jersey City tax assessor in property valuations and in defense of assessment on tax appeals. The tax assessor is going to speak on both resolutions now. Thanks, Ed.
Good evening, members of the council. Basically, these two resolutions, these are an offshoot from the RFP that we sent out to basically get some appraisal services from these two companies. Now, the two companies, the question is why we need to get two appraisal firms to do service to the city. One thing, we have the volume of appeals we have currently, just before the county tax board, we have approximately 2,127 appeals right now. And also, if you add that to the tax court, I think we're talking about around 1,800 appeals that are lodged before the tax court. Since the reval, where the assessed value, basically majority of the properties we have in the city have exceeded the 1 million assessed value. With that 1 million, they would qualify to go directly to the tax court. Most of these appraisal firms, what they would be doing is basically, we do consultations. They would prepare basically, not a full-blown appraisal, but at least, research the data to be used by this office or when I do a settlement conference. Right now, out of the 2,127 appeals we have 533 commercial appeals. And most of this, almost like an equal number, must have gone to the tax court because of the assessed values that are on this class 4As, which are the commercial and apartments. So these two, the Integra and the Associated Appraisal, both of these companies have experience dealing with properties in the city. The Integra, the two principals basically we dealt with before, they have the highest designation in the appraisal profession. And also the difference between the two is that we know sometimes you have an appraiser that you might be more confident in dealing with a certain property, not only the conflict of interest that they have, if we assign them a customer, which they have dealt before, of course, they cannot accept that assignment. So like Integra, our experience with them at the time, they are more familiar with the waterfront properties, especially now that some of the appeals we have before the tax court are some of the abated properties that we have down at the waterfront. So with in addition to the help that we would need, of course, we need every help that we could master, especially when you're talking about evaluation for 2020. This is basically the pandemic year. When people are talking about 50% vacancy on hotel accommodations, you have vacancy rather than 5% on commercial properties. Now they're reporting like 15, 20, or 25. So with the experts that we have, hopefully we could minimize some of the loss we have as a result of this COVID-19, the pandemic. The thing is, most of the thing that we do right now, so as to minimize the loss, is we're trying to make some kind of a one-year deal with some of the developers, because this particular year is not stable, I would say. So we have to come up with something different from the normal things that we do. Now, with all the necessary tools that we would need, these two appraisers would provide the assessor basically the necessary information, data to come up with the settlements that could be beneficial to the city. Each would have a maximum of $35,000 for the duration of the contracts. If you have any questions, I'm ready to address them.
Ed, this is Councilman Navarro. How many appeals did you say there were for 2021?
We have currently 2,127 appeals, and out of those, we have 533 commercial appeals.
The 533, is that commercial appeals? Is that out of the ordinary in terms of those numbers, or on both numbers?
I would say it's, the commercial are higher compared to the last years.
Okay. I had requested similar information from your office, just overall appeals. Can you give me the commercial appeals for the past 5 years?
Okay, 5 years, okay.
Yeah.
5 years, commercial appeals, okay. All right, Councilman, we'll send you the number of appeals on commercials for the last 5 years, inclusive of 2021.
Great.
Let's move on.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for our tax assessor? Thanks so much, Ed. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is item 10.10, resolution 21-357 is a resolution rejecting the two bids received by the city of Jersey City on December 1st, 2020 for a contract known as Johnson Avenue Road Improvements, project number 17-014-E.
So this was a project that we were really hoping to be able to award and get started, but it truly wasn't our decision. This was a federal project, so we were told from the funder that we could not accept the bid, and there was a discrepancy with what they submitted for their DBE and their SBE, DBE being a disadvantaged business enterprise, SBE being a small business enterprise. The state sees them as almost interchangeable. So the contractor actually asked to hold a meeting with the funder and us to try to fight to be able to have the bids accepted. The funder told us we weren't allowed to, so we basically have to reject the bids and rebid it per the funder's demand.
Anybody have any
Okay.
questions?
I do, Councilman Robinson. Does this have anything to do with the sewer line replacement on Johnson Avenue?
It does not. No. So this is a federal grant that's more of a beautification and doing the resurfacing of the street, doing handicap ramps, doing intersection improvements. So this was close to a $2 million project that was funded or submitted for award prior to any of the work, infrastructure work. But when we do submit for a large grant like this, we also right away try to get all of the infrastructure upgraded prior to doing the work. On any project, whether it's Central Avenue, Caven Point, this one. So once we were awarded this project, we immediately rushed to all the utilities and told them to handle anything that they have to for their infrastructure underground, because we would be coming through and doing a $2 million upgrade across the corridor.
Are you aware of the project that's going on Pacific Avenue from Bram Hall all the way down? It's supposed to be like a 2-year project.
Correct. So we were going to do everything to try to get that done on the front end. And there were aspects of this project that we can do initially, and we were basically going to be right on MUA's heels with that aspect. But we were going to juggle the two projects to not overlap.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, Council.
Item 10.11, Resolution 21-358 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to enter into polling place lease agreements with Hudson County Board of Elections. These are normal, because now we're going to be doing a live election in the primary. They'll still be vote by mails as well, but you'll be able to go to your polling place, and these are the places that we lease with, that the Hudson County Board of Elections leases with Jersey City.
Thank you.
No problem. Next one is 10.12, Resolution 21-359 is a resolution, number one, introducing and approving the 2021 budget of the Journal Square Special Improvement District, and number two, directing the city clerk to publicly advertise the budget and schedule a public hearing, and number three, directing the tax assessor to prepare an assessment roll of properties within the district based upon the budget. The budget is attached. This is the normal resolution that we introduce all of the SIDs with.
Thank you.
Are there any amendments to this budget from last year's? Can anyone answer that?
We don't invite the members of the SID until they're having a public hearing. So if you, I don't know if there was any amendments to it, but if you want to ask that question at the caucus that we're going to be holding a public hearing and consideration of adopting it, I'm sure you'll get the answer to your question there, because we'll have the person from the SID present.
Councilman, similar to the one in the Heights last meeting, I'll ask for a comparison of the rate from the prior year.
Yeah, I'm just wondering on the allocation as well.
Okay.
If they can give me that. Just clarification on that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Item 10.13, Resolution 21-360 is a resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept the 2021 Summer Food Service Program grant. Any questions on this?
Hi, I'm
Okay.
Angela Davis. I'm here to talk if anyone has any questions.
We have Angela Davis here from Health and Human Services, if anybody has any questions. Okay, hearing none. Item 10.14, Resolution 21-361 is a resolution ratifying award of an emergency contract to Air and Brake Equipment for the rental of vans for the Meals on Wheels program due to COVID-19 for the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Food and Nutrition.
Yeah, this
Question?
one, yes, Councilman Navarro. So this contract is this for a 1-year period or a 4-month period? Wasn't clear to me. For 568,000?
It's for 1 year, so it covers from the beginning of the year through December of this year. So we needed to, due to the huge increase in the number of clients on Meals on Wheels since we closed the senior lunch sites last year, we've had a 250% increase in the number of our clients. So we normally have 5 vehicles, but due to we had to take on some seasonal drivers and hire a new driver, so we needed to have extra vehicles to handle the increased demand. And so these rentals of this vans covers that period. And we hope by the end of this year, then things will start to stabilize and we'll be able to reopen the sites, and then the numbers will go down to normal, which is usually we have about like 600 clients. So it's been well over. Right now we have about, at our height we had about 1,400 clients, and now we're around 1,200 clients.
Okay, did we have the same contract last year for the same service?
We did have a contract to do some rentals, but actually that was paid for by automotive and not paid for by the Division of Food and Nutrition.
Okay. Could we just get the comparisons on that? How much did we spend on that last contract? And
Yeah, I'll take care of that, Councilman.
thanks.
Okay, you can follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Alrighty. Item 10.15, Resolution 21-362. It's a resolution authorizing an extension of a license agreement with the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency for the use of Block 7902, lots 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29, and 45, more commonly known as 693-701 Newark Avenue and 30 Cottage Street, respectively, allowing the city to continue to use the property for parking.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Council, this is just an extension on a continuing license agreement with the JCRA for these 2 areas of 701 Newark Avenue and 30 Cottage Street. They're surface lots at the moment with Park Mobile devices that could utilize public parking, and they'll continue that way with this extension until a development plan or however it's going to be developed in the future.
So that begs the question on what's going to happen in the future, and maybe is the JCRA or members of the council who are on the commission. This lot was sold, if I recall. It was an RFP and put out to bid, and the bidder put in $11 million for this surface lot with the promise of keeping parking in the area, as well as building whatever it is that they proposed. I can't recall. It was residential along with some other uses as well. And kind of where does that stand now? I remember reading something last June of 2020 during COVID that the developer may have suggested that they were not prepared to move forward due to COVID and so forth. And so is the JCRA here to answer those kind of questions, or somebody?
I was just going to represent this one, Councilman. I wasn't aware of that development plan. This was just to execute the extension of the parking.
Okay, if we can get answers on that as it pertains to that. And the lot is a wreck. I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's right next door to a lot of the Filipino stores over there. So I go there far too frequently, and I mean it's a crater. It's like a moon with craters in there. So I don't know if we are looking to maintain it and keep that parking lot, and there's no development slated there. Somebody really needs to do some serious work on it, because it's a real mess.
Yeah, once we get the update on the long-term plan, we'll definitely assess that, Councilman.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Item 10.16, Resolution 21-363. It's The resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting to award a contract for customized policy development services, policy and procedures for the Jersey City Police Department. Okay.
Sean, Greg Kears here. Director Moody had asked me to comment on 1016 and 1017.
Okay, I'll read both. I'll read 1017 into the record as well. 10.17, Resolution 21-364 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to RTSP Union LLC for pistol range rental for the Department of Public Safety Division of Police. Okay, Director Kears, all yours.
All right, 1016.
21-363.
1016 is associated with
Can you hear me?
the development of policy services and a policy manual for members of the Jersey City
Hello,
Police
can
Department.
everyone hear me?
The ever-changing and evolution from the Attorney General's office with new guidelines. It's imperative that this information be made aware to our rank and file police officers. And the policies and procedures manual, to my understanding, has not been updated for a period of time. And that is the purpose of awarding this contract.
I apologize. I had a bad connection, Director Kears. Are we talking about 21-363?
We're actually doing both, Councilperson Lavarra. We're talking about 2160, 363 and 364.
Okay. So on there's an RFP to go out to establish policies for JCPD. Is that my understanding, or
No, that's incorrect. What this would do is this company would be contracted to take all the current policies and procedures, make sure they're in compliance with the Attorney General guidelines, and then that information would be available to all the members of the department. With the ever-changing legalities that's coming out almost daily from both on the federal side and the state side, it's imperative that this information be updated and made available to police officers, so to ensure that they're in compliance with all directives and guidelines.
So we're not establishing any new policies here.
I'm sorry, Councilman, I'm having difficulty understanding it.
So we're not this process won't be establishing new policies. It's just a
No, this is updating current policies to make sure that they are in compliance with present AG guidelines and directives.
I see.
Okay. All right.
Director Kears, would you be able to answer any questions on item 10.40, which is resolution 21-387, resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Tomahawk Defense LLC?
Yes, I can, Sean, and I can also comment on 1017 regarding the lease to the RTSP Union LLC for their pistol range rental, if you'd like.
Let's do that first. Let's do the pistol range first.
All right. Basically, as many are aware, the city no longer has a dedicated pistol range. We had been using an agreement with PSE&G. They decided not to renew the agreement. They are moving in a different direction. We have close to 1,000 police officers who have to qualify twice a year. That's mandatory as per the AG guidelines. And it was challenging to find locations where we could meet the compliance. The range master, Jeff Marcello, was able to secure spots out in the North Arlington pistol range. However, it's only a 10-port facility. They've also now, we're able to get another location where they'll be able to, I believe it's 20 ports, where they'll be able to complete the qualification of all Jersey City police officers within the period of time allocated by the AG guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we're opening up our own range soon.
We are working towards that, Councilman. There's some plans in place, and hopefully by this time next year, this will not be a problem. We'll be back, working at our own range.
And Greg, they should have gone after PSE&G for what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were just going in a different direction, Rich. That seems to be what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Council
Thanks.
President, if you don't mind,
Yeah, go ahead.
Director Kears can also answer to
Could I just,
10.40.
before we move on there,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Director Kears, I'm sorry, just to take you a step back again to the policies and procedures. What do you expect from this vendor to, what kind of qualifications are anticipated in doing this work, and how much is the anticipated contract for something like this?
Well, from what I can see, and there again, I was just asked to comment on this afternoon, Councilman, so this is not my resolution. Basically, the company is to assist, as reading off the requisition, consulting services to assist the Jersey City Police Department in developing a customized agency policy manual. I am not familiar with their qualifications. I'm assuming that they have been vetted. The contact on this was Captain Ortiz from Director Moody's office.
Okay, I'll reach out to Director Moody. And
Yeah.
I can discuss it with him further. Thank you, Director Kears.
Okay.
And 10.40, Sean, you want that
Yes.
also?
Yes, Resolution 21-387. It's a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Tomahawk Defense LLC for the purchase of the PTBL Special Threat Ceramic Plate through the New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, Bergen County Coop, for Department of Public Safety Division of Police.
What we're dealing with here is the purchase of 100 special ballistic plates for members of our emergency services unit. They handle all of the special weapons and tactics, so to speak. They have the expertise there. They've been trained by Tomahawk for different types of operations. Unfortunately, these events, active shooter events and things of this nature, are becoming more and more common. We have to be able to provide our police officers who are responding to these types of events with the protection that's going to save their lives while they're out performing their duties. There's 100 pieces involved here that I can see, and they will be assigned to members of the emergency services unit.
Any questions? Okay, Sean.
Thank you, Director. Okay.
Thank you. Thank
Item
you.
10.18, Resolution 21-365 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Network Management Solutions for providing maintenance and support services for the Department of Public Safety, network, computer infrastructure, and related items without public bidding. Council members, you should have received an email from Robert Baker. Unfortunately, he's unable to be with us, but he did spell out the breakdown of each resolution from 1018 through 1021, which he is responsible for, and he's also provided his cell phone if you have any questions regarding any of those resolutions. And you can also email him as well.
Right, he did. He emailed some answers back also.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
I saw that. If I may ask, as to the administration, Director Baker did provide a response, which I appreciate. With regard to the last resolution regarding the license plate readers, he indicated that they've been a tool in locating or tracking vehicles used in drive-by shootings, robberies, hit and runs, etc. We share information and have access to license plate readers with law enforcement agencies across the country, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just wondering if we have any specific data around kind of the number of tickets that may have been issued for, whether they be for parking or other violations as it relates to the license plate reader, being utilized to pick that up. And then with regard to, as you said, in identifying vehicles, if there's any specific examples that we've used this technology and system to address any other crimes outside of kind of parking stuff.
Sure, Councilman, I'll definitely get the answers on those. I know from communicating with the Director of Parking, she has been successful in installing these on vehicles and putting them in certain major areas of congestion and picking up both Jersey City, New Jersey specific and out-of-state licenses for violations. But I'll ask her for specific data points on it.
Great, appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 10.19, Resolution 21-366, a resolution ratifying the award of an agreement with Gold Type Business Machines for providing maintenance and support services for the Department of Public Safety, local area network computers, and Zetron system without public bidding. Item 10.20, Resolution 21-367 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Gold Type Business Machines, Inc. for providing maintenance and support services for the Department of Public Safety automated license plate readers without public bidding, which we just spoke on. And item 10.21, Resolution 21-368 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Millennium Communications Group for the furnish and install a fiber optic cable and network switch for new sites of Quality of Life Department under state contract for the Department of Public Safety Communications Center. Next is item 10.22, Resolution 21-369 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Software House International Corporation, for the purchase of Part 1 and Part 2 micro, macro, vertical response graphics under state contract for the Office of Emergency Management, Homeland Security. That was a mouthful.
Before we go there, my apologies, Council President. So back to 21-368, which was the Millennium contract, I believe. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Quality of Life Division is being housed at Route 440. Is that what I discerned from that this resolution?
This is the one with Bob Baker too, right?
My question is more about kind of where Quality of Life is being housed as opposed to the actual work of, because this is setting up lines, fiber optic cables for, if I'm looking at the right one, for the Quality of Life Department. Right?
Yes, Councilman. So Director Hudnut and his staff are all together in one space over on 440.
Okay, so they're all being housed at 440. That office is now. But Resident Response Center, which also reports to them, is that accurate? They're going to be at the City Hall Annex.
Yes, and there's also representatives still in City Hall for walk-in.
Yeah, but they're down in the basement.
And then just one last point on those earlier contracts that Bob Baker had, unrelated to Bob's. I just want to note that those contracts are all effective. I think it was 365, 366, or I forget which exact numbers, but I think 365, 366 were all effective January 1st. I was reviewing the paperwork, and the paperwork from the side from Bob's office, Bob Baker's office, is I mean, it's all dated appropriately before that date. So I just want to bring it to your attention, Mr. Metro, that there's somewhere breaking down that they certainly have, seems like the paperwork is being processed, but it's not making it onto the agenda until far later, which we're now in May 10th. So I'd ask you to take a look into that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to, until I take a review, I don't want to target any officer.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, Sean. Sean?
I was on mute. Sorry about that. Item 10, I was going on and on too. Item 10.23, Resolution 21-370 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a right of entry license agreement between Newport Associates Development Company, Redevelopment Property LLC, and Embankment Property LLC, and the City of Jersey City in regards to the painting of a mural.
Okay. Who's here concerning this mural? Just give us an update. Anyone here?
Let's move on.
No one here for this?
Does anyone have any questions on it?
Council President, I'll make sure Brooke supplies a rendering of what the mural will look
She
like.
has to, right,
Yeah.
because then a lot of times these mural gets out, then we get calls later.
Yep, we'll take a look at that prior to any paint on the wall.
I definitely would like to know what she's gonna paint on that embankment.
Right.
Yes.
Righty. Item 10.24, Resolution 21-371 is a resolution authorizing the award of an open-end contracts to Plaza Auto Body, Diamond Auto Body, and Vaviz Auto Sale LLC for the collision repairs for the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive.
Okay.
Item 10.25, Resolution 21-372 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Air and Brake Equipment for the maintenance and repair of heavy-duty vehicles under state contract with the Department of Public Works, Division of Automotive Maintenance.
Air brakes.
John, I'm going to email you with a list of I'm just looking for the contracts, as I always ask, budgets and the amount spent. I'll send you
Down.
that. Okay,
Yes, Councilman, thank you.
thanks.
Item 10.26, Resolution 21-373 is a resolution authorizing the award of an open-end contract with Apco Industries LLC to provide beam, clay, baseball, diamond mix for the Department of Public Works, Division of Park Maintenance.
Anybody?
Let's move on.
We have our director here, Sammy Akezos here.
Okay, go ahead,
Any questions?
Sammy.
Hi, how you doing, Council?
Okay.
Hello, how you doing?
That's for our beam play for the baseball fields. I don't know if anybody had any questions in regards to it.
Sammy, quick question, Sam. Are you guys
Rich,
gonna be?
Yeah.
Rich, stop telling us to move on.
I'm talking to somebody else. I shouldn't be talking to you. I'm
Okay.
talking to somebody else.
Sammy, are we gonna be dumping I shouldn't say dumping. How much clay, are we gonna get the normal average clay per park, with respect to with respect to this? And I mean, because I've been to a couple of parks and it's actually very low. And some of the baseball leagues are already starting to play. So I'm wondering if we're gonna get that clay, and when we get it, if we're gonna apply it onto the fields and turn the fields if we have to.
Absolutely, Councilman. As a matter of fact, you were correct in first stating that you're going to get more than enough because, as you know, this is definitely your area of expertise. I say that with all due respect because you're highly involved with a lot of the leagues, if not all. We actually leave some extra clay there. So when, the pitchers or batters create divots in the clay, we'll have a nice pile to the side. So that way the guys could shovel it into the wheelbarrows, drop them there and make it fresh for play, put it in satisfactory condition for the next game or games.
All right, that's good. That's all I have.
Just a general question for me, and Councilman Rivera, maybe you can help me with this. So are we back? Is baseball back? Jersey City?
Yes, it's back. It's back. I mean,
Everybody's throwing out opening pitches?
say it again?
Have there been like Little League parades, opening pitch?
No.
Opening pitch?
There hasn't been no Little League parades, opening pitches. I mean, they're playing and, they're actually practicing, the coaches are amazing. They're practicing self-distancing, which is tough for baseball, but they're doing a great job throughout. But I think I'm not sure where we stand with the parades, but I know that they're definitely not on the horizon to happen. Because obviously, those, every time we have a parade, we get a lot of people, and all of us are dying to throw out the first pitch already.
I'm dying to see some baseball.
So I think I'm not sure if Jackie Robinson is up and running yet. I know that Clemente in downtown and Persian Field is running. I think Washington Park is running. So we have quite a lot of boys and girls out there playing.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sammy.
Thank you all.
Okay, item 10.27, resolution 21-374 is a resolution rescinding resolution 21-130 approved on February 10, 2021, awarding a contract to Insight Public Sector and awarding a contract to Dell Marketing LP, provide Microsoft M365 GCC software and other service software licensing under New Jersey State contract with Department of Administration Division of Information Technology. Bernadette is here.
Sure.
Yes.
So I just want to add to that, and any council members that do want to help out the leagues with donations and they're more than welcome, because they haven't played and they're struggling. So any types of donations or any type of sponsorship, all these leagues throughout the city will greatly appreciate it.
Cool. I'm down.
All right, does anyone have any questions regarding this resolution for Bernadette?
Bernadette, can you just explain why we're switching vendors on this?
Yes, sir. The original resolution that we brought forward was based on a quote from Insight, which was lower than the quote from Dell. And Insight, when it came time to actually effectuate the agreement with Microsoft, said they could not honor their quote. We worked with them to the maximum extent we could. When they finally gave us a new price, the new price was greater than the Dell price. And so frankly, we said to them, well, we're going to go back to Dell because that's who the lowest price is. So.
Great. Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 10.28, resolution 21-375 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to All Steel Inc. for the purchase, delivery, and installation of 6 workstations for Annex 4 Jackson Square Residence Response Center for the Department of Administration Division of Architecture, project number 2021-022 through Omnia Cooperative Contract number R191802. We have Brian Weller here to answer any questions.
Good afternoon, Councilman.
Good afternoon, Brian. This is for Jackson. I thought these was ordered before. What, they just...
My understanding is that yes, furniture was accounted for, but there have been some new requests and asks. And so that's why we're stepping in with this order so that there's enough seats for the Residence Response Center at the new location.
Oh, okay. If this is approved, how long will it take them to arrive?
4 to 6 weeks is the lead time that the vendor is giving us.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Madam President.
Yeah. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Madam President, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, remember the RRC is in the council office at 4, and it's only 2 desks there. But their plan was to get, I think, 6 cubicles. So I think that was part of it as well.
No, I thought this was already ordered. That's why.
Oh,
they've been here already 3 or 4 weeks already. I thought this was done already. So that's pushing us back in a sense, because I can't get up there. That's why I was asking, because this I thought was done already.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I have a question. So just to John, along with again, I'll provide a list. These are capital expenditures. Just ask for the capital budget, ordinances, the capital account, and the balances, and so forth. So what's happening with the RRC though? If they're moving down to the basement and some are going to the annex, what's happened to that space, I should say?
Councilman, there's a conversation being had for the RRC existing location on the first floor of City Hall to become a public health benefit. It's not public health benefits and pension workspace, essentially. Like a one-stop shop for city employees, as well as the back area. We're potentially going to put a mental health area and have an instructor with prescribed hours to facilitate any needs related to employee relations.
Got it. Okay.
Right. Item 10.29, Resolution 21-376 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Winter Ford for the purchase and delivery of 6 plows and 6 spreaders on the state contract of the Department of Public Works Division of Sanitation. Item 10.30, Resolution 21-377 is a resolution recognizing Arbor Day. Item 10.31, Resolution 21-378 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Edison Energy LLC in connection with commissioning agent services for Engine Company 10, Ladder 12, new firehouse project number 2018-004, Department of Administration, Division of Architecture. And Brian is here on this one as well.
Council, we put this out to competitive contracts and we had 4 respondents. What this is for is because this new structure is going to be LEED Silver certified, and the commissioning agent is critical to making sure that this happens as part of the project.
Gotcha. Okay, any questions?
Okay, and the last one for Brian, I believe, is item 10.32, Resolution 21-379. It's a resolution authorizing an award of a contract to Sport Pros USA for the purchase, delivery, and installation of new Sport Power Game Plus performance services for the Gateway Complex renovations basketball court project number 2019-036 through the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance for the Department of Administration, Division of Architecture.
Council, as you are aware, Gateway Complex is set to undergo several improvements. This is the first of 2 more. One will be improving of the artificial turf, and the other one will be coming on the heels of that with the playground upgrades.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Okay, item 10.33, Resolution 21-380 is a resolution ratifying the renewal of professional service agreement with the law firm of Porzio, Broomberg, Newman, PC, to serve as special counsel on behalf of the City of Jersey City in payroll tax litigation.
Now, obviously, this is a renewal of the ongoing outside counsel contract for the payroll tax litigation. I can just update everybody that as we advised the council, I believe it was last month at the closed session, that is still pending. The petition for certification with the state Supreme Court. I've not heard anything yet on whether the court will be accepting that petition. So we are essentially where we were a month ago.
Okay. Item 10.34, Resolution 21-381 is a resolution amending a professional service agreement with the law firm of Murphy Orlando LLC to represent the City of Jersey City, the Jersey City Police Department, and Edgar Martinez in the matter of John Bado and George Manuel versus the City of Jersey City.
Okay, this one, I will apologize to the council. This was on for a previous meeting. I erroneously had this resolution pulled because the case has been fully resolved. The city did obtain summary judgment in this case. The litigation's over. However, there are some outstanding legal fees that still need to be paid, and this resolution is part of the process of having those authorized. But this is the final one, and it's just to pay off some final bills.
What's the resolution in this case?
The city obtained summary judgment, which means the entirety of the complaint against the city was dismissed.
And so the only costs to us are the litigation costs on our side?
Correct.
Now, is there, under the circumstances, are we in a position to be able to recoup?
Not in the case of this type, no, Councilman.
Okay. Thank you.
Next.
Item 10.35, Resolution 21-382 is a resolution ratifying the award of a professional service agreement with the law firm of Whipple Azzarello LLC to represent the City of Jersey City and Director of Public Works for the City of Jersey City, Samuel Caso, in a matter of Urza Southward versus the City of Jersey City.
This matter is, the law department is conflicted from being able to represent certain defendants in this case, and therefore we need to obtain outside counsel to provide that representation. I can elaborate more offline due to the nature of this case and to protect the interests of some of the parties.
Okay, Sean.
The next item, Kate Lawrence had to step off.
Okay.
Step off the meeting. If we can come back to this, she'll be coming back on shortly.
Okay.
I'll skip it for now and then I'll read it into the record when she comes back. Item 10.37, Resolution 21-384 is a resolution authorizing identification agreements with 26-28 Cottage LLC in relation to painting a mural on the east-facing wall located at 26-28 Cottage Street with ACES Group LLC, allowing the City of Jersey City, its employees, agents, and/or representatives to enter onto Cottage LLC's property and use or operate ACES machinery and equipment located at 26-28 Cottage Street.
Mm.
And council members, just like the other one, I'll make sure that we have renderings prior to council action.
Okay.
Okay, item 10.38, Resolution 21-385, the resolution authorizing award of a contract to Shore Contract Flooring Services for the purchase and delivery and installation of a new turf system for the Gateway Field for Department of Administration Division of Architecture through Educational Service Commission of New Jersey, formerly Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission. I'm sorry, Brian, I thought you were done.
That's okay, Sean, no problem.
Any questions? Go ahead, Brian.
This resolution and the following one are both regarding new artificial turf systems. Obviously, the one at Gateway is years overdue, and I'm happy to report, as I'm sure Sammy will be happy too, that we're going to be getting the new turf system there. It'll make it a lot safer for the players and athletes out there.
Brian?
Questions? Yes.
Artificial turf or regular turf?
Artificial turf.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Replacing what's there, yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Don't thank me. You guys did it. It's taken a long time, but here we go. It's been on my wish list for a long time. So we now have the funding and we're doing it.
What's the funding sources on this?
We have grant and capital.
The grant being what?
Grant being from Hudson County Open Space, 500,000.
Great. No more questions on my part.
Okay.
I believe this one is the last one for you now, Brian. Item 10.39, Resolution 21-386 is a resolution ratifying awarding a contract to Athletic Fields of America for the purchase, delivery, and installation of new turf system for the Martucci Field turf replacement project number 2021-014 through the Sourcewell Cooperative Contract for the Department of Administration Division of Architecture. Does anyone have any questions for Brian?
This is also Hudson County Open Space?
Yes, actually, this one is.
Right.
Yes.
So is this replacing like regular sod, or is this going to be
Yes.
artificial turf again as well?
No, this is artificial turf. As you probably are aware, Martucci Field, like many of our fields, is subject to heavy use. And for years and years, that field's been the subject of many resodding programs, as well as I believe we even installed irrigation systems over the years.
The fact of the matter is it's just over-programmed and the turf does not get a chance to survive. So this will allow for a lot more programming and even during rain events, and it'll hold up for 8 to 10 years before we need to come back. So I think it's a win-win.
So it's going to be artificial turf, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Brian,
Yes.
now I'm going to call you tomorrow because I have some questions about Pershing Field for you.
Okay, I'll do the best I can.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Right, item 10.40 was touched on earlier by Director Kears. Item 10.41, Resolution 21-388, is a resolution authorizing the execution of a mortgage subordination agreement affecting the property known as 362 Hoboken Avenue, Unit 201, Jersey City, New Jersey. Item 10.42, Resolution 21-389 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City to execute a subgrantee agreement with the City of Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services for administering the city's COVID-19 CARES Act funds for the Community Development Block Grant Public Service Program under the program year April 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2022. Any questions? We have Carmen here to answer.
Okay. Carmen? Everybody clear?
I'm here.
And the last resolution, item 10.43, resolution number 21-390 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City to authorize a home investment partnership program agreement with 306 Bergen Avenue LLC for the 306 Bergen Avenue Renaissance Project and authorizing the execution of a subordination agreement simultaneously with the contracting documents.
Just
Go ahead.
to Carmen, actually, I didn't get to these last two resolutions, so I may reach out to you. I haven't really reviewed it, to be frank with you. So if I have any questions, I'll reach out. Okay, and then Council President, before we close out, I should have the resolution for the ceremonial resolution for Asian American History Month input by tomorrow. I just wasn't able to get it in today, but we'll get that in today. It's add as a late item and ask for the council's indulgence to allow for that ceremonial resolution to be added as a late item. And then just Council President, just as a follow-up on the for the MUA to come in at the next council meeting, but also I'm reminded if it's possible to have someone also come in to speak about the recent news about was it the CCTV cameras being moved from being manned by civilian employees to police officers, and to be able to speak to that and what the plans are there and what motivated that particular change in the staffing around that, and what the future of those employees, what their future holds for those employees who are civilian employees and manning those CCTV cameras.
Okay, now let me get clear. Now you want someone to really speak about why they transfer the CC cameras, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading the story. I just read an NJ.com, I think it was NJ.com story about that the CCTV cameras that were manned by civilian employees.
Okay.
That they're going to be replacing them with Jersey City police officers. And that.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Why we are putting officers there instead of civilian when they're watching the cameras, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Councilman, I could just add to that. I defer to public safety on the operations point, but I would like to just mention, just for clarity, that any individuals that were manning those cameras, they do have civil service titles, and they will be cross-trained to operate in the 911 facility, 911 dispatch facility. So I'll give a little more clarification to public safety when they come in to discuss it, but I don't want anybody to worry about job security for those individuals.
Right, right. But it seemed like when you're looking at cameras, it seemed like you would need experts there to really be a part of it, to know what needs to be.
Okay. Before we go, I don't see Kate Lawrence back. We did skip over item 10.36, resolution 21-383. That's a resolution adopting Jersey City's 2021 Climate and Energy Action Plan. I know she had to step away, but I don't know if any council member has any questions for her. She was prepared to answer any questions, but she did have to step away. If you can just email her any questions, I'm sure she'll get back to you before the meeting. And just keep in mind that the meeting's on Thursday. With that being said,
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn at 6:30 p.m. by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to adjourn at 6:30 p.m., all council members present by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are out of here at 6:30 p.m. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, members of the public, council president, council members, and all the professionals here behind the scenes. Thank you so much for all your help. And remember to just keep masking up and keeping your social distance, and we'll get through this pandemic together. Teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night. Stay safe.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.